Good morning, everybody. At the outset, I really thank the organizers for having given me an opportunity to stand in front of you. Initially, when I got this topic, I felt, it's a wonderful topic, it's a controversial topic. But as I went through the literature, I felt that it is not at all a controversial topic. I really felt that why people use clonidine at all. This is what I felt. Anyway, the next 10-15 minutes, I would be telling you how exactly it's true. This is the institute from where I come from, the Shimoga Institute of Medical Sciences, of clonidine in obstetric anesthesia, of course, Bain. There's a saying in Kannada, in my local language, which means that whenever you are assessing even your enemy, look at the positive side. Look at the brighter side of him first. So let us see the brighter side of clonidine, which Dr. Ranjan has already pointed out. I'll just mention them. It's an alpha-2 adrenergic agonist used in obstetric anesthesia by various routes, can produce excellent analgesia, prolongs local anesthetic activity, produces sedation, etc., etc., etc. What is this? This is the Kaiga Atomic Research Center in Karnataka, in my place. And this is the other view of that. Nuclear power actually gives about 10% of the total power consumption of the world today. And it is one of the cheapest sources of energy, power, in the world amongst the renewable sources of energy. But what happened in Fukushima? What happened in Chernobyl? This is what happened. Even there was one small earthquake, a natural disaster, an earthquake which hit Japan, damaged the Fukushima reactor, and radiation hazard ensured. Even the mighty Japan could not do anything. And today, worldwide, people are questioning the relevance of nuclear power today. So is clonidine. Even if an excellent drug with excellent properties has a disastrous quality as a side effect, I don't think such a drug should be used. So these are some of the adverse effects of clonidine: sedation, hypotension, bradycardia, increased myometrial contraction, nausea, and vomiting. So let us go one by one. And 2, 3, and 4 would definitely produce some adverse fetal outcome. Hypotension, bradycardia, produced by alpha-2 adrenergic agonists, are because of two reasons. Number one, sympathoinhibition at the level of the spinal cord, and by their direct effects on the brain itself. They also produce dose-dependent sedation because of the stimulation of the locus coeruleus. Devendra, in one of his review articles in Acta Anesthesia in 2006, wrote a statement. This article was on the right drug and dose for neuraxial labor analgesia. He reviewed 21 articles and he made a few conclusions. Clonidine has a very narrow therapeutic range, number one. Number two, clonidine is not a first choice of the adjuvant for epidural administration. Doses as low as 15 to 30 micrograms intrathecal have been reported to increase the incidence of maternal hypotension, ephedrine requirements, and incidence of fetal heart abnormalities. Dr. Devendra et al. Conducted a study, and they published in the International Journal of Obstetric Anesthesia in April 2010, and their conclusion was, clinically unacceptable hypotension occurs more frequently when clonidine is added to epidural ropivacaine instead of the equianalgesic doses of sufentanil. Therefore, they said, clonidine cannot be recommended for routine administration for labor epidural analgesia. Many other studies are there to substantiate this. This is a big list of studies. I don't think I need to go through each one of them. And all of them say that the incidence of bradycardia and hypotension are much, much more than what we expect it to be. Textbook of Anesthesia by Millers in 2010, 7th edition, after 87 references, makes a conclusion. Clinical application of clonidine in obstetric anesthesia is limited by its side effects: hypotension, bradycardia, and sedation. David Chestnut, in his textbook on obstetric anesthesia, which all of us regard as Bible in obstetric anesthesia, in his 4th edition as late as 2010, says that the routine use of neuraxial clonidine is not recommended for obstetric analgesia because of the unacceptably high incidence of hypotension. The other one, the fetal outcome, adverse of course, is because of 2 reasons. Number 1, maternal hypotension and bradycardia, and number 2, the reduced uterine blood flow. 70% of the alpha adrenergic receptors present in the myometrium are alpha-2 adrenergic receptors. That's why you would definitely find an increased contractility, frequency and amplitude of the myometrial contraction, which results in a reduced uterine blood flow after clonidine. Carlo Messent et al. Conceived this idea first way back in 2001, and they conducted a pilot study, published it in 2004 in Canadian Journal of Anesthesia, and they said intrathecal clonidine prolongs spinal analgesia with ropivacaine and sufentanil at the expense of maternal hypotension, worse fetal well-being, and worse neonatal umbilical artery pH. We do not recommend routine addition of spinal clonidine, 30 micrograms, to sufentanil and ropivacaine for labor pain relief. Again, Carlo Messent et al., continuing their study, published it in May 2011, a randomized double-blind study, and confirmed their original report, and they said it worsens the fetal outcome due to the associated severe hypotension. Intrathecal clonidine during labor is not recommended. Guiana and Nakamura et al. In the Sao Paulo Medical Journal in March 2008 published an article on the effects of various drugs used neuraxially on the neonatal adaptive and neurobehavioral scores. They showed that both a low dose of ropivacaine and ropivacaine with clonidine were effective for labor pain relief. Yes. However, ropivacaine with clonidine interfered more with the neurobehavioral and adaptive capacity of the newborn. Guiana and Nakamura et al. In the Sao Paulo Medical Journal in March 2008. Clonidine is not for routine use in labor analgesia. This was their final conclusion. On the GI effects, David Guiana et al. In 2004 conducted a study on the GI effects of neuraxial clonidine in labor analgesia, published it in Sao Paulo Medical Journal in 2004, and they said nausea and vomiting were significantly higher with clonidine with bupivacaine epidurally, though analgesia was longer in duration than bupivacaine with Santanil. Finally, the company which manufactures Duraclon, the epidural clonidine, Bionic Pharma, in its product monograph, the company which is manufacturing and propelling the use of clonidine, in the headlines of warnings, use in post-operative and obstetric analgesia, here is what the company is to say. Duraclon, epidural clonidine, is not recommended for obstetrical, postpartum, or perioperative pain management. The risk of hemodynamic instability, especially hypotension and bradycardia from epidural clonidine, may be unacceptable in these patients. So, when I reviewed the articles, I think I can divide the articles into 2 groups, before 2004-05 and after 2005. So, before 2005, they all thought that that was the very first look, you see. Everybody looks great. Everybody seems to be special at the first sight. But most are passers-by, and only one remains special till the last. So I think clonidine is a passer-by, just like that. What is this? Can anybody tell me what is it? Skull. Shall we have a closer look? It is Adam and Eve. It is not the... So clonidine look like that. When you go near, it is not green. The eyes see what the mind is prepared to comprehend. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
It's up to you to decide whether or not to use clonidine in your obstetric anesthesia practice. Thank you.